What's up, guys? We are back for another episode of Weddings Unfiltered. I am Ron from the newly formed Buffalo Pod, formerly Buffalo Bartenders. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Here with Molly from the Planning Touch and Heather from Upstate Weddings. What's up, guys?
Hi, Ron.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. A little dreary out here, but you know what? It's 55 degrees in March.
It's okay.
Can we really beat it right now?
Not
That's
really.
okay. We're in this beautiful space at the block, so
Shout out the block. Thank
I'm
you guys very
not going
much.
to complain about anything at all. No.
If you don't know about the block and you're a photographer, you really need to check it out.
Yeah.
They're on Instagram, the block 716. What's up, guys? Amanda
Absolutely.
does.
What's up, guys? And congratulations on the newly formed
Yes.
business.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit about it for a couple seconds?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little stressed right now.
Okay, so Ron is
Maybe
more
at a later
about it.
No, I mean, I've taken on a lot, right?
Yeah.
I put a lot on my plate, but
Yeah.
as a business owner, that's what you do, right?
That's what you do.
You just keep trying to grow and
Yeah.
do the best you can.
Exactly. Well,
And I'm never going back to
congratulations.
working for the man. So that's what's
Heck
important. here.
yeah. Heck yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So today, guys, we're going to talk about wedding vision. A lot of y'all are newly engaged, and I think that once the excitement of putting that ring on your finger and finally asking the question kind of like wears down, you realize you actually have to plan a wedding. And then everyone gets inundated with Instagram, Pinterest, opinions. Like everybody get stressed out because now there's so many decisions to make and there's money to be spent. And I think that oftentimes people don't stop and think about what they actually want this wedding to look and feel like before they start putting deposits down places
Right.
because they get a little overexcited. So today we're going to talk about wedding vision, why it's important, what are some things to consider, and maybe why you should just take a pause before you actually sign any contracts and putting deposits down. So why do couples skip this step, right? I think people are really nervous about securing dates. Do you get a lot of this?
Yes.
Like when you're first
I
meeting
get
with
people
couples?
reaching out to me and they don't even have a date.
Yeah.
And then I have to go back to them and be like, well, unfortunately, you can't really book me
Yeah.
until a date is on the calendar.
Yeah. I think also like social media tells you like you have to like book everything immediately or the vendors that you want are not going to be there. And I think something that some people consider and maybe some people don't and they should is wedding season in Western New York is different here than it might be someplace else, right? So October and September are wildly busy. That's when most of the weddings happen. And so there's only so many vendors in Western New York. So people feel like they have to book vendors if they're getting married
Yes.
in that time frame, right? So when all this craziness is happening, I think just stopping and thinking about with your partner, like what do you actually want your wedding to look and feel like? So Ron, when you were getting married, did you and wifey have this conversation?
I think we were kind of blessed that we didn't have the social media that's out there today.
True.
I mean, you were looking at some stuff on the internet,
Yeah.
but I mean, you were going by what you liked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you weren't, I don't think there was the overthought process, right? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of had this vision of what you wanted, and you weren't blasted by 300 different visions and like mix and matching this vision with that vision, and they don't all blend together, right?
Yeah.
Like, you might love one thing from whatever, but I'm very grateful that we didn't
Yeah.
have it. I mean, Molly, you know, like
Yep.
you had all this now when you got married.
I know. And it was, see, I kind of went into it because I've had a Pinterest board since I was like 10.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
Weird. Molly, tell us more.
So,
that doesn't sound like you at all.
I actually had a backyard wedding Pinterest board and
Okay.
just a wedding Pinterest board.
Okay.
Because initially I did want to do backyard.
Okay, I was going to ask, did you start the backyard because of COVID, or was that
No,
already
it
well
was-
in advance? I know we
This is when I was in high school.
Molly had plans here.
That's why I'm a wedding planner.
You didn't meet your husband.
No,
in high
like
school.
this was way before. Yeah, like
This
this.
is-
Yeah.
I was just planning my
In
wedding.
my life, I'd like to get married,
Yeah.
and regardless
Listen,
of who's standing next to me,
for
that's
most
what's on
guys,
my plan.
that's perfect because we're just like, go crazy, Molly.
Exactly.
Go wild, yeah.
Yeah, I had
Stay
a
within the
backyard
budget
wedding one and just a wedding one.
Yeah.
And then when it came time when the ring came on my finger, I'm like, oh my god, now I actually have to make decisions.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many Pinterest you can just pin and say you love, but
Yeah.
it's like actually putting like deposits down and everything. So then I realized, okay, first of all, venue, kind of one of the biggest things because that's how you get the date on the calendar. So that was a big thing for me.
But that also clears up some of your board, right? Like if you pick a venue that doesn't fit a lot of your boards, you just need to remove those. And
and I think that's a really good point. I think that's where people get really like go a little sideways because they tour a lot of venues, and I'm sure you're on these tours with them, right? And they tour a lot of venues, and you fall in love with the venue, right? But that venue might not necessarily match your original idea, right? So if you're thinking you want a backyard sort of style wedding, even if it's not your backyard and maybe it's one of these kind of rustic barn venues to give that same feel.
That's exactly what I did.
But then you walk into some of these more like classic, historic sort of venues, you're like, oh my God, but this is beautiful too. You kind of have to really make your decisions based on what you had originally decided and weed out the rest of it and not get swayed by the pretty things that you're going to see because it's all pretty.
Right.
It's just
but
what
you got to go
originally
through.
Want.
Venues all have different rules too. So it's like you got to weigh those options before you decide too because like, you know, I've had brides where they didn't know that their venue didn't come with tables and chairs. Yeah. And they actually had to cancel and move their entire wedding. Yeah. Because they didn't realize that at the beginning when they put the deposit down.
Yeah. There's a lot of decisions to be made. So I don't think I can stress it enough. Like before any venue tour, before anything, like sit down with your partner and talk about things like what do we want our wedding to feel like? Do we want it to be small and intimate? Do we want a lot of people? Do we want it to feel like eclectic? Do we want it to be like kind of very classic? Think about what you want it to feel like. And then I think that helps to kind of weed out some of the, oversaturation of vendors that are out there.
Get that guest list kind of
somewhat
estimate because that always depends too. Like a 200-person wedding versus a 50-person wedding. Yeah. You know, it can vary.
Absolutely.
And totally different venues for that too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing you need to take into consideration. It's almost like guest count and venue go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to kind of sit down and say, okay, what are the 3 things we want for this wedding? We want this wedding to be 50 people. We want a micro wedding. Like that's what we really want. And like, you got to stick with it, right? Or we want a 200-person wedding and then kind of go down that decision-making tree. Yep. And then it kind of lays out a whole lot more for you. When you were getting married, what were your 3 priorities? And would they change if you were to do it all over again?
So my 3 priorities was venue, videographer, and music.
Okay.
My food was really good. I know a lot of brides, but like my food, I didn't even really have to think about because I got like food. People are still talking about my food. And she's not even like, she doesn't like advertise herself around, but like, I'm working with her this year. Like she's still out there and she is. So venue, obviously that was one of my, once we stepped on Akron Acres, like we knew that was our venue. Yeah. We just knew like, this is exactly the vibe we want. This is where we want our guests to be. So like, once we stepped foot there, and we visited like 6 places. Once we stepped foot there, we're like, we know this is it. Yeah. And then videographer, I knew, I've heard that a lot of brides regret not getting one, and I knew of a really good one in the area. And I'm like, you know what? Now that we have a date, I just want to make sure he's available and get him. And then I was able to get him and photography together. Yeah. And then music. See, that's where that would change. My DJ wasn't the greatest. And that's where I feel like I kind of dropped the ball. I wish I would have done a lot more research with my DJ. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Really instead of just like assuming like, oh, they can do it. It's like, I thought I knew. Yeah.
I think that's a hard thing too, though, because unless you go to a wedding and hear that DJ and feel their vibe. Yeah. Like you can't tell what they're really going to be like, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think now with social media and like some of
that's
the
definitely
YouTube
different.
clip, you can because some DJs are, and also some DJs are really good about it, where they do try to like use their social media so you can kind of understand their personality a little bit better and like how they actually would perform at your wedding, and some don't. So it is kind of a toss up. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How about you? What were your priorities?
Bar, food, and DJ.
Perfect. Ron wanted a party.
That's all, because you know what? We kind of got to take it away from us because we wanted like a fun backyard barbecue Jack and Jill shower.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was kind of taken away from us. And like we were just like, you know what? We're just having this party. So like that, those became like our 3 non-negotiables. But we had Pearl Street, so we knew the food and drink were going to be good,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then I'm so lucky that I worked for a wedding DJ. He's not in business anymore, but he was like, yeah, he's like, obviously I'm going to give you a really good deal on it. I've done weddings with him before. I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
The only thing that we didn't vibe on with my wife with him was that he didn't want to like full on listen to her.
Okay.
And I think that's where brides need to take a little bit of a step back and let their DJ do their thing. Like
vendors in general, there's a reason they're in that business. They're a professional.
Yeah.
And
that's why you're paying them.
Most DJs know how to get the dance floor going. They know how to slow it down a little bit and make all those things flow
the crowd
perfectly. Sure. And he basically said to her in our meeting, he's like, listen, he's like, some of these songs on your do not playlist like are just crowd favorites. He's like, if you don't want me to play them, that's fine. But what if somebody requests them?
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, that's fine. And there was only one song on the list that was absolutely do not play.
What song?
Love Shack.
Ooh,
and that's like
a big veto from Love. From Ron on Love Shack.
That wasn't me. That was Sarah.
What's wrong with Love Shack?
She just hates that song. I don't know.
That's okay.
But that's my mom's favorite song.
Ooh.
So we made that rule with the DJ again. Yeah. Like if my mom comes up and asks for it, like
well, there's a.
And I said to Sarah, I'm like, listen, baby, you can just go to the bar.
This is like a Posh Spice moment, isn't it? Isn't this what happened with Victoria Beckham?
Like you can go to the bar. Just go to the bar, get yourself another drink, take a 3-minute water break.
Go outside for a minute.
Go use
cool down.
And then go listen to what's going on in there. It's totally fine.
But
it's cool.
To this day, I couldn't tell you whether he played it or not because you have so much going on.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like that's such a minute point in your evening.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna let that ruin your day, then
then whatever. Just let it all roll off your back. It's gonna be fine. I think kind of going in knowing like I want bar, I want food, I want DJ. Venue is really important. Like knowing what those things are and what you want those things to feel like. Like you can want DJ, but is it dance party or is it more kind of like, kind of classic romantic style music that you're looking for? That kind of thing. I think that really helps when you're looking for vendors also because it helps to shape those conversations. Like when you're going to all the wedding shows, instead of just like kind of walking and scrolling by and being like, I'm just looking, you can then go to a venue and be like, okay, we are having 120 person wedding and we want it to feel like this and we really are these are our top 3 priorities, and then you can say like, okay, that venue can say like, yes, that's something we can accommodate, or like, no, that's not something we can accommodate. And then it's just like yes or no, and then go ahead and move on. Also, along with this, your budget's really important, having the conversation about your budget, because what you don't want to happen is be kind of wishy-washy on what you want, and then your budget just gets blown up. It
happens all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Molly, do you feel like a lot of your brides miss their budget because they don't take into account what the venue offers them? Do you feel like that is what kind of blows it out of the water a little bit?
A lot has to do with the venue because, like, it depends.
They don't have the tables, the chairs, all that
stuff.
stuff.
If they don't have the tables and chairs, it's like they got to rent those. So that's why it's really good to have all those, like, know your venue. Like, really know what they provide and what they don't provide, so you can work on those things. Like, some venues have catering, some don't. So if they don't, then you need to get a full service caterer that will do buffet or plated. And, a lot of the venues have recommended ones that you can ask that have been there multiple times, but that's a whole nother thing too. If the venue doesn't come with catering, that's a whole nother route you got to go down because you got to try the food and everything.
You've been at a bunch of venue like meetings with the couples and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the venues are 100% upfront with everything that they have, or do you feel like it's something that brides and grooms have to ask questions about to get the straight answers? For the most part,
I think they're pretty upfront. But like sometimes venues are like, if you want to use those lights or you want to use the bonfire, like that's an extra cost. Yeah. And they don't really tell you that extra cost, and then the day of it's just like, oh, we want the fire, but it's like, oh, you have that's an extra cost
because you've already fallen in love, right? Yeah. So I think definitely get the wedding planner to come with you because she knows.
I'm going to a meeting next week.
What to ask, but all of those kind of help and shape your decision, right? If you don't want to deal with all of that, right? Then maybe you go with a venue that maybe that's not a blank slate. Maybe that has more of the decor and the catering and all that stuff built in, or an all-in-one sort of
like
situation.
Akron Acres.
Yeah,
they give you the space. you do the rest.
Yeah.
Like, you get the tables and stuff from them, though.
You do get the tables and chairs, but like catering, I had to outsource that. My catering did not do appetizers, so I also had to get appetizers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had a board above do charcuterie boards. Never even got to see them. And then I had Donna Ike do my catering, and she is just. I'm working with her this year, and I cannot wait because I can't wait to have her food again.
Remember that story at the venue that didn't have appetizers for their guests?
Oh my God, yes, and you need the appetizers, people.
Yeah,
you have to serve people appetizers.
Like make sure you, especially for cocktail hour, you're gone for an hour getting pictures done. Feed your people.
Yep, and they're at least me, I'm putting 2 and 2 drinks.
Two drinks and 2 plates of food
at your wedding, Molly. We've heard about it. Okay, it's cool.
I lived it.
I think, but I think before you get distracted with like all of the details, because you will need to work through all the details. We have a homework assignment, I think, for all of our couples who are newly engaged. Make a date with your partner. And we're going to link it, but we have a kind of a wedding vision worksheet for you. Sit down, have a glass of wine or beer or cocktail.
Just whatever you want.
Mocktail.
Alcohol.
Have something.
You're going to need the alcohol.
You might need the alcohol. Have something and make a fun date out of it, because that will take the pressure off of it, and sit down and really just have a good conversation about what both of you want that wedding date to look like, and also what you want it to feel like.
You know what I'm going to say next?
What are you going to say next?
Guys, be involved.
Guys, be involved. This is why you do it as a date, because then he has to be involved. Then he can't say, like, I never wanted that thing.
Right.
Right? And then also make sure you write it down on a piece of paper. Like, it sounds cheesy and silly, and you're like, oh, I'll just remember. No. Put it on a piece of paper. You know that we love a good wedding workbook. So put it in your wedding workbook, and then take that with you to all of your appointments. Because then you will have just a callback to what you actually want. And if you go someplace and it doesn't fit your original vision, like obviously you can have some flexibility in there, but it helps just guide those decisions. So you're not putting deposits down on places that really
you're
way
asking
outside.
Questions that you want to know ahead of time. You don't have to go searching for it. Just go there with questions you want answers for.
Yeah.
And even after the fact, like every so often, have a check-in day.
Yeah.
Like a check-in date night. See where you guys are at with how you're feeling about your budget and all the vendors that you've picked and who you still have left to talk to and make those decisions on, because everything can get lost real quick if you don't keep that stuff organized and
that's
have
why
regular conversations.
I'm gonna kind of promote myself right here. So I offer a wedding planning subscription.
Love it.
And it's kind of like a touch-in point with my couples. You would have access to your wedding in my wedding planning software, so you can keep everything in there. And then we have a few calls once a month or whatever works for you guys, and we start working on the timeline. We start helping you with vendor management. Whether you need me the day of or not, I am just there kind of at help you planning the logistics behind the scenes and keeping track of everything.
I love that, Molly.
Yeah.
I love that.
And we love our wedding planners.
Yeah, we love a wedding workbook. Okay. So if you're at the beginning of your kind of wedding planning journey, number one, it should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful.
No.
But definitely like start off with a really good solid conversation of what you actually want this day to look like and how much money you really are going to allocate towards the budget. We'll link that in the show notes so you guys can download it and go have a good date. If you are doing it, make sure to tag us. Take a picture of your sheet on your date. Tag us. We want to know if it's helpful.
Ask questions. We're open to answer whatever questions you guys might have.
Anything else for couples and their wedding vision that I
missed?
Good luck.
Wow, Molly.
Wow, that sounded horrible. Like Molly's like, don't bother getting married.
Wow, Molly. Aggressive, Molly. Well,
good luck. Call me. Good luck.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. You guys can do it.
Yes,
you guys can do it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Weddings Unfiltered. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Good luck.
Molly, yeah.
Dang.
That's the only thing that keeps